Right, health. Here we go, this is another bit about health. Medicine today amongst professional practitioners is only a progress from the 17th century medicine, which harmed more often than it cured. In a purely chemical and mechanical sense, extremely clever men have used basic knowledge to give people new hearts, livers, kidneys, etc., with quite dramatic results, but always at tremendous expense, and all too often the patient lives a little while and then dies. Acupuncture is a bit repetitive, actually. Anyway, this is another thing, so I'll carry on with it. Acupuncture is regarded as a mysterious skill that the Chinese people have perfected and used with great success on their own people, and now other nations are trying to use it, but it's not known why it heals some and makes others extremely ill. No two people are the same, and therefore what works very well as a cure for one person proves to be the reverse for another. Ridiculous books are now making fortunes for their authors, some claiming that everyone should drink cider vinegar or live on a totally plant-based diet, or whatever. The list is endless. Some people can do very well drinking cider vinegar. Some people should never eat meat. Some should never eat certain sorts of fish, but this is something that each person has to discover for themselves. No cure is really infallible for everyone. A short synopsis of the history of this planet's peoples is interesting, as it concerns every aspect of life as it is lived today, and in any case the history of the European people of this world, going back, as it does, only about 5,000 years or so, very much concerns the sort of people you have today, and the sorts of foods their ancestors have eaten, which has a direct effect on the sorts of foods their descendants become allergic to in later centuries. Today, the vexing problem of meat, fish, eggs, cheese, and all animal products is argued constantly, and no one can agree to what the true answer is. As things are at the moment, it does not seem of particular importance whether people eat meat or not, but there are many facts which human beings ought to know and realize, or with this factor alone they will surely destroy themselves in only a few centuries. Humanity is unfortunately selfish and greedy, and if it likes delicious meat of all sorts and kinds, it gorges itself until inevitable sickness of all manner of kinds results. Vegetarians thereafter point the finger of scorn upon the suffering and state that everyone who eats meat becomes ill, suffers from heart disease, hardening of the arteries, and all other known results of excessive meat eating. This is the point: excessive meat eating. Excessive vegetarian eating has other side effects just as unpleasant, and in the long run worse than the effects of overindulgence in meat and all allied foods. Everyone also complains about the wickedness of killing another creature for food, how the poor beast must suffer, and what can be done to minimize this suffering. Some creatures throughout the world are indeed killed in thoroughly inhumane ways, and hopefully with advanced knowledge, as the years progress, this will cease, and all people of all races will come to see the folly of mindless cruelty to animals in any way whatsoever. The basic fact is that all creatures are reincarnated again and again, sometimes almost as soon as they die, and by the very nature of the way in which this creation works, there must be more and more edible types of animal as the population of a planet increases. If you reduce the numbers of domestic animals and even household pets dramatically, it will and does in many years begin to have a severe effect on humanity itself. The facts that we give here are simply truths that scientists will never be able to discover for themselves, because some of the entities that exist within all living beings and with all living bodies are so small, and many exist on another structure or dimension in any case, and so can never be seen with the aid of a microscope. All creatures live upon each other, and that is the way that everything has been made, carefully worked out and designed. And no matter how revolting or disgusting some sensitive civilized people view this fact, the basic design of nature can never be changed, and those who try to live against the laws of nature only destroy themselves, and all too often others as well. All all things are designed and controlled in the same way. Even the universe itself, the plants, the human body, and all the bodies of all living things bear relation to this fact. All planets are controlled by a mysterious central area, which is fire, and many forces too complicated to describe here. Within the head of all intelligent insects, human beings, and all other living creatures that bear relation to each other is the central mysterious area within the head, and this contains the entity or soul of all creatures. And every creature, even the smallest insect, has some sort of an entity or indestructible soul, which passes from one lifetime to another, in yet another body of one sort or another. No creature can live without the vegetation which surrounds it, and all the other creatures upon which it relies for its sustenance. And humanity is just exactly the same. The human body, which is the ultimate of creation, as far as this world and its living creatures are concerned, again has the central mysterious area within the central part of the brain, and no one will ever come to completely understand this area of the brain. It revolves constantly, as does the central part of the planet, and this revolving creates power, just as all mechanics and creators of machinery in the modern world know that the simple basic electricity is created by the revolution of a wheel. Power is created in this way, and so indeed does it power the human body, just the same, with a sort of electricity which is peculiar to the human body, but differing in frequency, just as there are different frequencies of electricity and other forms and ways. This, however, is not the only thing that powers the very complicated human body besides the blood, nerves, and chemicals of one sort or another. An impulse is constantly working to keep it alive. There are also computerized entities which also exist throughout the body's various systems, and these are very important, and without these no human being could exist. Animals are exactly the same. Also domestic pets such as cats and dogs, and it is known that people who keep healthy, and this is the all-important fact, healthy domestic pets that are clean and well cared for are basically better in health and happier in themselves than most people who do not. They seem to suffer less from heart diseases and all the various nervousness things that people who keep no animals, even though perhaps their homes are rather cleaner and more clinically beautiful than their animal-loving friends. Animals do create dirt, but here again, common sense so often lacking in sweeping generalizations made by those who hate to see a small dog or cat making an untidy mess in an unscrupulously tidy home. To keep a living world alive, there must be millions or even billions of people, unseen, and also entities that act like messengers and help to power living bodies. Animals create, as do humans, minute entities that live within all the bodies, and no human being can create enough without the help of animals. To explain exactly how these entities are transferred from animal bodies to human bodies would be too complicated to explain, but it is a true and important fact. Do away with domestic animals altogether, and a dramatic increase of all manner of ailments amongst the population would result. Domestic pets do help their owners in all manners of peculiar ways, not only emotionally but physically as well. Eating meat also helps to recreate these tremendously important minute entities within the body, but of course, as with everything else, sensibly controlled amounts. Vegetables, nuts, and whatever simply do not contain the precious ingredients that create these minute entities that must live within the body of most people. Some people seem to be healthier without meat, but this is because they live in a world of meat eaters. If all domestic animals were done away with, a very dramatic change would soon begin to make itself felt. And if we all stopped eating meat, we wouldn't get these little microbes, which exist on different planes. So that's something we didn't know, isn't it? And nobody would ever see it on a microscope. I mean, I've had at different times, I've had 5 different dogs and 3 cats, all completely different in character. And I've loved them all. And I miss having a dog. I'd love to have another one, but I just don't feel my life at the moment would cope with it. But, you know, once you start looking at the world in this way, with how every animal has a function, I've been very interested in the foxes that live in the little wilderness area next to me. We used to have a certain type of fox that didn't have a big brushy tail, just a long thin tail. And you know, if I have, you know, sort of chicken leg or something and I haven't finished it, I put it out for the fox and it's gone always in the morning. And they clean things up, I think. Anyway, Mr. Fox, who I used to know, has gone. And there's another fox now with a big brushy tail. You never see a dead fox unless it's been run over on the road. I think, you know, like all animals, you know, they come to the end of their life and something kills it and eats it. It's very cruel nature, but it's the way it is. Can't have lots of decrepit animals creeping round like some of us decrepit things on sticks on pills and things. Anyway, that's the end of that. Right, Miles, I've finished.